Hey everyone, welcome back to the Snowflake Enterprise Platform from Scratch series. I'm Salman, and if you're joining us for the first time, each episode in this series builds one real piece of an enterprise Snowflake platform for a fictional company called Northwind Analytics. Episode 1, we created our Snowflake account, locked in naming conventions, built the first production database with 4 schema layers, and created our first warehouse with proper auto suspend settings. If you missed it, it is linked in the description. Today is a different kind of episode. Today we are making an architecture decision that is going to shape every single thing we build for the rest of the series. And it is also one of the most common interview questions senior Snowflake engineer get asked. So pay attention. So no SQL for the first 20 minutes. We are thinking before we type. We're thinking before we type. And that is how real senior engineer works. So quick 60 seconds recap before we get into today's discussion. Northwind has a Snowflake Enterprise account on the AWS. Okay, I think I have selected some different region rather than Mumbai, but for the presentation purpose, I kept it as in Mumbai. Okay, and we choose enterprise because we need multi-cluster warehouse. Okay, which is enterprise editions. A 90 days time travel for our DR strategy and a column level security for PII. Okay, we choose Mumbai because what are the reason? AWS workload and customer base are in India centric. So at the time when we create your AWS account, at the time when you create your S3 bucket, you can select the region based on whatever the region you have selected while creating this Snowflake account. Okay. And now here is the question. Okay. I'm putting it on screen because I want it to head as a complete sentence. Should we use one Snowflake account or multiple? Basically, why that question arises? Because in the enterprise, you are going to have around about three kind of environments. One is UAT, one is dev, and one is prod. So the architecture level question is like, should we use one Snowflake account or multiple? Now the trap most people fall into is treating like it has a universal right answer. It doesn't. I have seen companies with 30 people successfully run 5 Snowflake accounts for legitimate reasons. I have seen companies with 300 engineers run everything in one account just fine. The answer depends on your specific situations. But here is what separates a senior answer from a junior one. A senior engineer doesn't just say we use one account or we split into multiple accounts. They say, here is the framework I use to evaluate that decision, and here is how our situation mapped to it. That is what we are building today. Okay, so pay attention. So, while making that decision, I'm going to ask these questions to make it easier to choose either single account or multiple Snowflake account. Okay, so here are the five real questions I use whenever I'm evaluating account architecture. I'm going to walk through every single questions. Okay, so don't skip the slide. Question one: do you have hard regulatory or compliance boundaries? So whatever the data that is coming into your project, do you have hard regulatory or compliance boundaries? This is the most important question. If you have data that is categorically regulated, HIPAA for health data, sorry, I lost the track. Mason, he came on my door, no problem. So, question one, do you have hard regulatory or compliance boundaries? This is the most important question. If you have data that is regulated, like for health, we are going to use HIPAA, PCA for card data, kind of PII. So, certain kind of categories, the data subject to those regulations. Okay. Uh, so, for that kind of data, RBI colony isn't sufficient for a regulatory auditor which wants to see physical separations. So, question two, do different teams need completely independent release contents? If a data engineering team needs to deploy schema changes to production while the data science team is running experimental workload, that might break things. Separate accounts give separate accounts give you hard isolation. If everyone is on the same release train, a single account with environment prefixed databases achieves the same thing with less operational overhead. Okay. The third question is, do you need cross domain data joins regularly? The fourth question is, do you need change back cost to different business in it? And the final one is the team small, less than 20 engineers and growing fast. So let me explain you about the third factor that we discussed. Do you need cross domain data joins regularly? So what does that mean? This is the main reason to stay in a single account, not leave it. Cross accounts join in Snowflake requires data sharing, which adds latency and complexity. If your marketing team regularly needs to join their attribution data with the sales team's revenue data, and at Northwind they absolutely do it. Forcing them into separate accounts makes every one of those joins harder. Got it? Question 4. Again, it is based on the costing factor that what we discussed. And team size. If you're under 20 engineers, I almost already always recommend starting with a single account. Not because multi-account is wrong, but just operational audit of managing multiple accounts, separate role hierarchies, separate network policies, separate monitoring is real, and small teams usually don't have the bandwidth for it. Bandwidth for it. Build complexity in response to pain, not in anticipation of it. Got it? So let me go back to next slide. So this is what my decision to go with the uh, single account instead of multi account. Okay. So hard regulatory boundaries, no retail analytics, no HIPAA, PCA kind of data. So okay. Independence release contents. No one small data engineering team right now. So that is okay for the single account. Uh, third, fourth, and fifth question, whatever we had done, says marketing data that is coming, like we are requesting the data from all the teams. So based on this verdict, single account architecture for Northwind with environments isolation with databases naming conventions and role based access control. Not because it is that easy option, because all five forcing questions points to it. So whatever the thing that we discussed from the earlier slide, we had given the rating now. we're given the answers to all of these questions, and based on that, I evaluated like we'll go with this single account, and which will be easy for us to implement it. And how the environment separation will happen, like for every database, we'll give the name as in prod database, dev database, and UAT database. And likewise, we can segregate it, we can separate it. Okay. Let me see if we have anything like architecture for this or not. So the way like we discussed, like this one dev, UAT, and prod kind of databases, and whatever the teams are there, like sales, marketing, and finances, we'll give the naming conventions for that. Prod underscore sales, prod underscore marketing, likewise UAT underscore marketing, dev underscore marketing. So it would be easy for us to differentiate while creating the roles, schemas, and everything. Okay. So this is what we discussed earlier, like for enterprise editions, this is what we're getting: multi-cluster warehouse, 90 days of time travel, column level security. We'll cover it in each episodes, like what they are for. And given the episode numbers as well, like where we are going to cover it exactly. Should I cover like when should I recommend the business critical and everything? Just will give the glimpse, like okay, so that we'll close the loop on business critical, because interviewers do ask this: when would you recommend upgrading? But we have covered enough theory. People wants to do some practical, so let's say okay. Four clear triggers: any phr data, even analytics on the health data, requires a ba with Snowflake, which is only available under the business critical edition. Second point: PCI card data flowing through Snowflake. Third question: requirement for try secret secure, wherein Snowflake staff cannot access data without the customer's key. Fourth, a security posture that prohibits any public internet specific uh, traffic. Even SSL private link requires business critical. So today, Northwind Analytics, none of these apply. But here is the key thing to know: upgrading from enterprise to business critical is non disruptive. There is no data migration, it is a billing and feature tier change. So we are not locked in. If Northwind wins a healthcare client, we upgrade without a platform rebuild. So that is a question, like same thing we have covered here. Org admin role, should I cover something with the org admin? Like basically, if you are using multi account, then managing those accounts using org admin would be easy for you. Like once you log in as an org admin, you will be able to see all the accounts under the one hood. Okay, so enough theory now. Let us jump back to practical things. Okay, let me switch my screen from this PPT to our Snowflake. I have already given uh, copy pasted the commands here, so we just need to execute it in order to get whatever we had to do. We had to achieve it. Okay. So for this episode, we are going to build our whole database structure. Okay. So last episode we have created prod underscore sales database. Now we are adding the remaining 8 databases. Okay. So let me run those commands. Let me see the databases that we have created. Prod underscore sales we have created. Okay. So let me create UAT underscore sales, dev underscore sales. So these commands, like I will give it in the comment as well as in the descriptions, or I'm going to build the GitHub repository for the same, and in that repo I can give you all these commands so that you can easily execute it and you can follow along. Marketing is done. Now I'm going to finance domain, create database for finance, UAT finance, and dev finance. Okay. Now, so comments are there, like by just reading the comments you can know like what we're doing. Now under prod underscore marketing we're going to create the schemas: raw, staging, curated, and mart. Why? We are following the medallion kind of architecture. Okay. Use database prod underscore finance. You can refresh here to see the reflected changes. Now using prod underscore finance. Okay. Let's see what is there in underscore prod underscore. Nothing. So let us create the schemas: raw, staging, curated, and mart. Okay. Let me refresh. All these schemas have been created. Okay. Show me databases. It will show 9 databases: dev 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay. Databases, just production databases. So why we are running these commands directly? Because no one is going to ask you about the syntax. These are the basic syntaxes you all know. Okay. Okay. So using this cookie you can fix it. Okay. So that one is also the demo for you, like how you can use the Coco. So this query, I'm getting some issue. Database name is not there. Might be uh, the couple of changes that are happening with the Snowflake, and day by day, it is really difficult to keep a track of what are the changes that is going to that are happened already. So this Coco, which is also like the AI chatbot, it is going to help us. But remember, while using this, you are getting separately billed for it, like for how many times you use that. Okay. So it is going to fix that query and give us the exact query to get the data. Okay. Let's see. So this is how it has given us the updated query. Let me run it. See, we got the desired result. Okay. So for the viewers who did the homework for episode 1, you created dev cells, guessed it needed the same for schemas. You were exactly right. So in the episode 1, at the end, I have given this homework. Okay. So all of this has been created successfully. Let me go back to our slides to see. Okay. Hmm. Decisions locked in today. Single account architecture for Northwind. Three environments. YDB prefixes. Nine databases across three domains and three environments. Got it? Consistent for schema layer in every database. Okay. Everything is documented. So default on purpose, RBAC, who can actually query these databases? That is episode 6. Warehouses by domain, episode 3 is entirely about that resource monitor. Episode 5 is data ingestion into these databases. Episode 13, we have the structure. Okay. Uh, Now we need to govern it, protect it, and fill it. So this is how we are going to proceed further. Just to recap, one account framework decision documented, 9 databases, 3 domains, 3 environments, consistent consistent schema standard, comment on every project, every object, okay? That is whatever we are creating. And the interview questions you can now give a use of 5 questions framework to drive account architecture decisions. Okay, regulatory boundaries, first one, a release condense independence, second one, third one is cross domain join frequency, fourth one is chargeback requirements, and finally team maturity. For Northwind, the cross domain join pattern was the decision kind of factor for single account with RBAC based isolation. Okay, uh, that is it, I think, for this episode. Uh, I will see you in the next episode then. Okay, thank you. Bye. Take care. Happy learning.